Let's bring you news of an important investor conference that's taken place in Cape Town today. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola has outlined key reforms that they've initiated to address corruption. He was addressing the South African and international investors at the RMB Morgan Stanley Big Five Investor Conference. And I'm joined now by Heidi Giokos, who joins us from Cape Town. Hello, Heidi. So what did the minister say to investors about this concern around greylisting?
So I think it's important to contextualize what greylisting is and how much of a concern is. So what we do know is that it's the Financial Action Task Force that has red flagged South Africa as potentially being added to a grey list. Why are we being red flagged as potentially being added to the grey list? This is because we are a country that has an issue when it comes to money laundering, corruption, possible terrorism, and an illicit flow of cash that happens in the country. So this task force has said what is being done by the South African government to address this issue. How is this going to affect us? Why does this even matter? The reason for this is because it's going to become increasingly difficult for investors to want to invest in South Africa, and for local companies that have international business partners to continue doing business. There's going to be a lot more red tape, there's going to be more due diligence that's needed, and it's going to become increasingly more difficult. And all of this is happening because government is taking its time when it comes to arrests and successful prosecutions, when it comes to the illicit flow of cash, when it comes to money laundering, and when it comes to big corruption issues that we have in the country. So this big investment is seeking answers from the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Minister Lamola, as to what is being done on government side. Are they realizing the severity of this? President Cyril Ramaphosa has always been at the forefront of bringing in foreign investment into the country. We have that investment conference that takes place, and this is going to be quite a bad reputational dent should we be added to the grey list. So ministers and cabinet need to be seen to be doing something about this, and they don't have much time, but we'll get into those time frames. Let's first listen to what the minister said about what's actually being done.
Our current economic environment is complicated by several issues which the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services is able placed to respond to. The most recent issue is the potential greylisting of South Africa, which will have dire consequences for our country. Chief among the consequences is the risk of reducing investor confidence and the negative impact on the financial well-being of South Africans. The high level of compliance that will be expected from most of you sitting here. Although our economy is reaping the benefits of commodities upturn, the effect of the upturn are yet to manifest themselves structurally. As such, one is concerned that the greylisting by the Financial Action Task Force will certainly deepen, if not enhance, our well-documented structural inequalities. This will affect the cost of borrowing and of raising capital for our country.
So, Heidi, I didn't hear enough about what South Africa is doing to stave off a possible greylisting. Just give us a few pointers on that, and tell us how much time we have to fix this looming potential problem.
Yes, so of course the government needs to be seen to be actually doing something about this. A big sticking point and issue is, for example, what South Africa is doing to deal with that big Steinhoff scandal that we saw a couple of years ago. The minister, of course, addressing that and saying that that is also a massive accounting irregularity that happened under the government's watch, and surely something should be done about this. But the minister rather confident that regulatory frameworks are being re-looked at, and he's spoken to the fact that there are a number of policies and bills that are sitting before cabinet at this stage, and a draft bill has already been almost accepted by cabinet, and hopefully it will be fully accepted and implemented in the next couple of months. So it's all got to do with what's actually being done. While they know that this is a massive problem and it's a concern, the minister conceding and saying this is very worrying and it is a concern, they need to be seen to be doing something. The big question is, are we going to see more arrests and prosecutions? About 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, Sally, we saw those arrests linked to Transnet, where we even saw Brian Molefe being arrested. So this is the kind of action that needs to be taken, and the recommendations that have been listed when it comes to regulatory frameworks, policies being amended, bills being implemented and changed to make sure that they deal with the illicit cash flow, money laundering and corruption. Now, when it comes to timeframes, this is also a big concern because government doesn't have much time. By the end of October, they need to report back as to what has partially been done when it comes to these regulatory frameworks, policies and bills. They need to report back to that, and then a full comprehensive report on recommendations implemented by December this year, and next year by February this task force will make a decision as to whether or not government, South Africa rather, will be placed on that grey list. I know many people are asking why does this matter, and many people have responded to some of my tweets saying why do we care, but we should care because this means that local businesses that have international partners are going to have to pay a lot more to have business done with these international partners. It's going to be a lot more complex and difficult, and every country needs international investment and foreign investment. It boosts our economy, it creates jobs, and this is why government is basically scrambling to try and sort this out as quickly as possible and not to be placed on that grey list next year, February.
So that deadline looming, the first deadline, end of October, not long at all. Thank you so much for highlighting all of this for us, the eNCA reporter Heidi Giokos, who comes to us from Cape Town today.